Also, you look amazing.
Thank you. You look oh, I like that sweater.
Thank you. I was like rambling to find it. I was like, where did I leave the sweater? Okay, guys, welcome to another episode of the Bruja podcast. This is actually the final episode of season one. We got through season one. I am honestly, girl, I am so happy we got through this because, like, when I first started this podcast, I had no idea what direction it was going to go in. I had no idea if I was going to finish it. I had no clue. And the fact that we have gotten here, celebration, testament. Just for the listeners to know, we will be back with season two in the spring, in March, taking a little break, in January, February to do some rebranding, some, organizing. We're taking the podcast to the next level so that you guys know Vondetti will be joining us for some of those episodes. Be on the lookout for that. Now, in this episode, we're going to go into the Great Conjunction, which is happening on the 21st. It is a big deal. Vondetti did some research for us and she's got some notes. We're also going to recap our year between the two of us, what's been going on. Vondetti's had a lot going on this year. Let me tell you something. Girl, I'm so proud of you because you are a business owner. You also work a full-time job and you are in school. Like, you just finished final season. So, like, props to you, honestly. Like,
Thank
I admire you for that. We're going to like recap that after we talk about the Great Conjunction. Let's just get right into it. Let's get right into the Great Conjunction happening the 21st, which also coincides with the winter solstice and the sun going into Capricorn. Vondetti, what have you got for us in terms of this Great Conjunction? What's happening? What's going on?
So there's a lot that has been spoken about in regards to the Great Conjunction. So this involves Saturn and Jupiter.
Planets in the solar system.
Yes, and the conjunction between these two planets happens every 19 years. But this is going to be the first time that these planets have ever been like the closest they have ever been since 1623, which is insane. Usually like a 20-year difference, a 50-year difference, but like since the 1600s.
As Vondetti said, it's happening between Jupiter and Saturn. It's happening at 0 degrees Aquarius. So it is in Aquarius. Prior to this, these two planets have been in conjunction in earth signs. So it's been doing a pattern of having a conjunction in earth signs. There was a break at some point. I don't have the year, but there was a break where it did conjunct in an air sign, but it's been doing it in earth signs in Taurus, in Virgo, and in Capricorn. And Vondetti mentioned a year, 1623 was the last time that these two planets were in such close alignment. Now, there was a note that you made. We made a Google Doc for this so that we could be able to reference our notes.
Right.
The last time it was in such close conjunction was in 1623, but Vondetti had a note there where the planets weren't visible when that was happening. The last time the planets were visible in this conjunction, this close, I think you mentioned was in what year?
1226. Yeah.
Or 1126.
No, 1226.
1226. This is something that I'm still learning in terms of like knowing the importance of when planets are visible and not visible. That's something in astrology. I encourage listeners that are interested in knowing about that. You can definitely do more research on that. There's a great astrologer on YouTube. Her name is, if I get the name, I'm going to put it in the description box. But she's very Astrolata. Actually, I just remembered her name. Astrolata. She'll talk a lot about when planets are visible and they're not visible and the importance of that. But usually when planets are visible, that's when they make their most impact. We're able to see it. We're able to harness that energy. With this Great Conjunction, as far as I understand it, they're the two biggest planets in the solar system. You have Jupiter, the planet of expansion, and you have Saturn, which can be a restrictive planet. But with these two, honestly, Vondetti, I'm really curious. Like, I don't even want to make a prediction because it's like thinking about the fact that they were previously in earth signs. We had a focus on agriculture, industrialization, building wealth, anything that's material. But the fact that, and this is for the listeners to know, that now these planets will be doing their same cycle every 20 years in conjunction in air signs, it's almost like, especially with it being in Aquarius starting out, it's almost like expecting the unexpected, but I don't even know what to expect other than a focus on communication, community, anything that has to do with the air sign specifically. Do you have any thoughts about this?
Definitely. I would say it's a time for reconstruction. And also it varies for certain signs. For example, if you're a Taurus, Virgo, Cancer, Libra, and Aries. That is going to be the crowd that's going to be most affected. Like you said, a lot of earth and air signs. Also, if you are a Capricorn, Taurus, or Virgo, the great transformation that comes along with Saturn, it will offer you success. However, buckle up. If you want to culminate something, you have to plant the seed, right? And then you have to wait for it. It's not like, oh my gosh, the next day there's going to be like a little sprout coming out, or the next 6 hours or so. Like you would probably have to wait like a week or two. So it's kind of like, yes, there is a great transformation occurring. However, you have to let the seeds grow, and that's reconstructing and building on what you already are doing. Does that make sense? So that's not a bad thing. It's like, for example, saying you're doing a lot of content. There's a lot of things that we have like the foundation for, but it is a time to build on it. And if anything, strengthen it. I like the way you mentioned Capricorn because they're very stable. They're very concise. They're very reliable. They're very responsible. However, they do have a fun side. They could be fun. I feel like, yes, there are good things that are going to come. However, the nitty gritty part, it's not the beginning. It's after the beginning. And after the beginning is now.
Yes, love. I love how you put that, especially considering that it's happening in 0 degrees Aquarius. Like the way that I'm looking at it is it's like the ushering of an age, a new age. Some people on social media have been saying the age of Aquarius, we from the age of Pisces. And I kind of look at it like that, in that we are moving from know how to build. We
Yeah.
had the cycles in the earth signs. Industrialization has created civilization as it has. And now we're moving towards the technological age, the digital age, the age where you connect with each other through social media. We connect
Yes.
with each other like this, doing Zoom calls, for those that, of course, have the privilege to do that. Globalization, I think of too, especially all the themes of Aquarius, humanity. Think of the 11th house because Aquarius is the 11th sign and it corresponds to that house. So community, humanity, humanitarianism, your friendships also, your collective, your tribe. Considering that we're still in the midst of a pandemic and different countries are going through different things with that, really seeing how we all connect with each other, whether it's for good or for bad. That's something that, like, for me is a theme, especially for this conjunction. And I love how you put it with planting the seed, because I think some people think that when they work, things should just sprout up. And it's like, no, you have to like bury the seed, you have to nurture it, you have to let it grow in its time and bloom. And even then, when it's blooming, you have to still kind of, I don't know a lot about planting, but like, snip out the weeds and like let it grow the way that it does. So I love how you put that. And so I think as individuals, we definitely have that coming for us. And also as a group, as a
Yes.
collective.
Yes, a lot of social change coming. There's a lot of social disparities that are being put into light, especially this past summer. The marches, the whole political climate, racial disparities, racial injustices. There were seeds that were things that we saw and witnessed, I believe, has been happening. The only thing that has changed, or the reason why there was such an outcry, was because we are in a digital age and it was recorded. There's a lot of incidences. There's a lot of unfortunate events that happen that are not recorded. So that's why I really do appreciate when you say like technology is playing a role, a pivotal role in our society and how we view social norms, how we view behavioral norms, what is acceptable, what is not acceptable. And along with this technologic transformation, I feel like there's a lot of people that are building platforms for themselves. And these platforms are being heard, and not only heard, but felt. There are many different people that have a message to say, but the messages now are beginning to sink in. And it's like, not like, oh, I've already told you this, or, oh, you see, we've been saying this for a while, like microaggression. Like there's so many different things I can stem into. Those are just seeds. How is that going to grow? How is that going to grow in the sense of, oh my God, there's just so many topics. I'm thinking about inequality in regards to the transgender community with inadequate and insufficient healthcare, housing, stigmas that they deal with. I'm thinking about Afro-Latinas. I'm thinking about us. I'm thinking about women who can't afford an abortion versus a woman who can afford an abortion, but she is not pro-choice. I'm just thinking about so many different things. And this summer highlighted so many different, like the intersectionality of different social topics that, yes, like you said before, technology is going to play a pivotal role coming up. However, we need to know what to do with those seeds. How are we going to culminate that? How are we going to make the plant strong enough and fortify that to grow? Because it's here in the media, oh, it's the young people, it's the young people, it's the young people. Yes, but what about those people that live in rural areas of America that don't live in New York City like us, that is still fighting that good fight? You know what I'm saying? There's just so many things that technology has shed a light on in regards to chat rooms, in regards to people creating their own series, in regards to people collaborating and creating media and content, in regards to collaborating for grassroots projects within the communities to link up and protest and link up and provide food and different types of resources for other people. However, how are we going to sustain that? And we also have to remember, like, you can't fill up somebody else's cup if that person's not filling up your cup. However, before we even get to that, you can't fill up anybody else's cup before filling up your own. You know what I'm saying? So, transformation, yes. We already had the opportunity to lay the foundation. We've already had the opportunity to, I don't want to say that already have the opportunity, because I am a Sagittarius and Jupiter is like the ruling planet of Sagittarius, which is luck, expansion.
Saturn entered Aquarius, I believe it was on Thursday, and then Jupiter enters Aquarius today. So that's why they're like meeting up. They're like meeting up in the sky. And one of the things I thought about, and it's not that I don't have this information on hand, but it's not that I want to say that any of these two planets were in Aquarius during that time. I don't believe that they were. But I think about the age of enlightenment. And I'm thinking about that specifically because I was watching a movie. I love this movie, but I watched it again. It's called The Royal Affair. And it's like a historical drama. It's got scandal or whatnot. But what I found really interesting was it was about an actual like queen during this time that like she had an affair with the court doctor, and he had kind of infiltrated. This is according to the movie. He had kind of infiltrated the court to eventually spread Enlightenment ideas through the king.
Mm-hmm.
And these ideas, like, prior to the Enlightenment, there were certain norms, in terms of royalty. The king was chosen by God, and he basically said what happened with the kingdom. And through these acts that came through the Enlightenment, through these mandates, social norms were changed. And when I was watching this film, I literally thought about the Great Conjunction, and how, like, something that I foresee, I don't want to exactly predict, but something that I foresee is norms being changed. We've already had norms being changed with this pandemic. Being on lockdown, being separated from our families, things like that, how we go about our day-to-day lives, nothing is the same. Nothing will be the same as before. And so something I've been thinking about in terms of how this conjunction could manifest on a collective level, on a global level, are unprecedented change. Now, I'm not saying whether that will be good or bad. I don't know how that might work, but I'm literally thinking about that, like, to expect the unexpected, that there will be things that will be coming up, maybe laws put in place, because Saturn does rule government. Saturn rules various different things, but government is one of the things that it does rule, systems, foundations, and Jupiter is expansive. Although Saturn is restrictive, Jupiter is expansive. It travels. It knows no bound. It's limitless.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the reason why I'm just like, I don't know how that might work. We'll have to see.
Very paradoxical. Yeah.
Yeah, very philosophical. And like, this is really looking ahead, because I'm always looking at Pluto. Pluto's still in Capricorn right now, but Pluto will be in a couple of years moving into Aquarius. And, that's a couple of years down the line, so we don't have to worry about that now. But I'm literally thinking about all of these big generational planets moving into this sign that is the Aquarius is often seen as rebellious, but oftentimes when it's used the right way. And I was thinking of something that a friend of mine said. She's a tarot reader that I tend to go to. If you guys ever have a chance to look her up on Instagram, she's at Yo Hood Oracle. I'm gonna like put that link somewhere.
I follow her.
She's amazing. I love her. Like, whenever I need to get a tarot reading, she's the person I trust. I go straight to her. And she was mentioning the Great Conjunction. She was talking about Aquarius being a rebel, but she was saying when Aquarius is in its higher octave, meaning, operating at a high vibration, it's positive qualities.
Yeah.
It's a rebel with a cause.
Yep. Yep. 100%. 100%.
I thought about that and I was like, that is what I see. If we harness that energy properly, of course, on a global level and even within our own lives. So I thought about the enlightenment, I thought about that, and I was like, like that's a possible way that it can manifest.
That is so true. So apparently, with this great conjunction, you should not be clinging to the past. It is the time of cutting people out, cutting people off. Aquarius is the sign of progress and community, like you said, in regards to politics and forming and fertilizing that community. Right now it's a perfect time to do what you want to work on for the next year. Start now, just because we are still like in the realm of like limitless possibilities, because remember Jupiter. However, get ready to start getting serious about that. Amp up the velocity in a sense. If you haven't laid down the fundamentals or the foundations of what you want to do, or like the project that you want to work on now, it's kind of like you won't be rushed into it. But again, the whole checks and balances, you can't expect something if you're not giving something. And
Right.
the universe will definitely show you like this is what you get if you put the work into it, and it's not easy.
Something I'm thinking about, what you were just saying, like it kind of popped into my head. And I love that you said checks and balances. It's Saturn is about being practical.
Mm-hmm.
Saturn rules Capricorn,
Yeah.
but it also used to rule Aquarius. It also used to rule Aquarius as well. And it's about, like, when I think about it, the way that I'm seeing it with this conjunction is with Jupiter.
Mm-hmm.
Jupiter presents opportunities, right? And like it's fast. It comes at you fast. It's one of those things where preparation meets opportunity.
Yes.
Preparation, Saturn, meeting opportunity, Jupiter. If you're not ready, you're, I have to say this, but your ass will be handed to you and you will learn
Mm-hmm.
what it is that you need to do if you're willing to do the work, what it is that you need to do to prepare yourself, whether
Yeah.
it's that you need to edit certain things if you're doing anything in terms of writing, or like you said, cutting people out if you are working on, self-development, placing your boundaries, which is seems restrictive, which is a Saturn thing, but actually does benefit you.
Right.
So something that, yeah, that I think about when it comes to the Great Conjunction: preparation meeting opportunity. And that's where you get the success. But it's one of those things where it's like, it's a marathon.
Yes.
It's a marathon, it's not a race. It's something that you got to keep working on it.
And let me
um
tell you something with Aquarius. I just want to say, like, there are still air signs. So even though like they're calming, they will calm you. They're a little bit aloof, which is fun. The velocity that they go, like it's like if there's a revolution happening, like let's talk about like the quote unquote revolution that happened this summer.
mhm.
Aquarius brings like the air that will speed up and bring like add velocity to the occurrings that are happening, but not in like such a rush, but like sloppy way in a sense. I feel like they're very particular. They're very Aquarius specifically. They're very in tune with technology and sciences as well. So there could be some advances in like in the scientific community, and that's crazy because this whole vaccine thing. But that's another story. But
Yeah.
go ahead, you are on point.
Yeah, I literally think of like something that I thought of was like a gust of wind. Like I literally thought of like a gust of wind, but like it's one of those things where it's like a gust of wind that comes in to sweep out what's what's been blinding us, and you actually see in the path what you actually need to see. Aquarians or Aquariuses, they have a foresight. They have they're visionary. They see ahead, and like that's where we're headed to. And that's,
But
I
we
think, the energy we have to cultivate.
but we have to be careful not to be impatient, because as a Sag and Jupiter's involved, we are very fucking impatient. Working on it, but we definitely have to learn to simmer down and have several seats.
Yes, but Jupiter is in Aquarius, and
Oh, okay.
that does, yeah. So it moved into Aquarius today. So that brings an opportunity to expand in our social circles, to
Yes.
expand in our community, to expand with our friends. Someone had made a status there's an astrologer, Hime Aura. She made a status actually today where she was saying with Jupiter in Aquarius, this is about seeing that you don't have to do it alone. Your friends can help you.
Mm-hmm.
Your community can help you.
Mm-hmm.
And to lean into that, you can expand through that. Jupiter expansion, opportunities, Aquarius, networking,
Mm-hmm.
friendships, community. So, and yeah, with Jupiter, because it rules Sagittarius, Sagittarians definitely will, all signs will be affected. But
Yeah.
Sagittarians definitely do want to pay attention to this because, your ruler is moving into a new sign. Um, but yeah, that's just like some thoughts that I've been having about the Great Conjunction and just, when we're recording this right now, 2 days beforehand. So when
Yes.
this drops, the Great Conjunction will have happened.
Yes.
But I am curious just to see how it will manifest, how, what people's energies will be, what will be happening globally. And this will be affecting us in the years to come. Again, just to recap, this happens every 19, 20 years that Jupiter and Saturn come into conjunction. It's just a big deal for the 21st because this will be the first time that it will be visible in hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years at such a close conjunction. So that's the reason why it's like a big deal.
Huge
But
deal.
yeah, huge deal. Um, Before we move into the second half of our episode, is there anything else? Any other thoughts that you had in terms of the Great Conjunction? Any other advice or just
So
insight?
if you are not comfortable with an aspects of learning, for example, if you're a visual learner and you're not an auditory learner, or if you're artsy fartsy and not really good with numbers, right now is a very good time to work on it. Right now is a very good time to start collaborating, fortifying the networks and maintain the relationships that we've built. And also just go over your intellectual property, start organizing, start getting ready for the new year, and start putting, the pedal to the metal, start adding your thoughts into like writing and manifesting. Start doing that, because if you do it now, you won't be rushed into it. And it's going to be a time where your logical side meets your creative side. So that can be catastrophic or that can be marvelous. So,
I love that. And I just want to reiterate what you said about cutting, like leaving things in the past, because that's something I'll be doing. And I'll be talking about a bit more in the second half of this episode. Just whatever doesn't serve you, whatever's not in alignment, whatever your intuition also just tells you, or people even that just don't mesh with you, just leave that in the past, let it go, surrender it. If you believe in a higher power, give it to them. I just want to reiterate that because I think that is such a great gem. And especially all the things we've been going through in 2020, going into 2021, I just think, leave that there, Um,
mm,
so we're going to take a brief pause, ever so brief, before we go into the second half, where we're going to just be talking about what's been going on in our year, what we're looking
okay.
forward to in the new year. Me and Rondette, you're going to share. There's going to be some things that I share that are personal. So I do want to offer, a trigger warning to anyone. I've been going through a lot of things that have been very emotional, a little dark as well. So just a trigger warning for anyone that might want to tune in to the next half of this episode, but wants to be prepared for that. So we're going to take a brief break, and then we will be back with the rest of the Bruja podcast, final episode for season 1.